Data science. You've heard that term thrown around a ton, right? But what does it actually mean? Is it just for some kind of tech genius who spends all day writing impossible code? Well, today we're going to decode it, and you might just find out it's a lot more connected to your world than you think.
So let's just get this out of the way right off the bat. This is probably the biggest myth out there. When you hear data science, I bet your mind immediately goes to lines and lines of code scrolling down a screen. And look, a lot of people think that. But is that really the whole picture? Let's find out. Okay, so here's the formal definition. It's a mix of math, programming, and visualization. But you know what the most important part of that sentence is? It's those last four words: to solve business challenges. That's the whole point. It tells you that data science isn't just about the tech itself. It's really a mindset, a way of tackling real-world problems. So to really get a solid grip on this, we've got to start with the big picture. Before we even touch on all the tools and the fancy techniques, let's talk about what this data science mindset actually is. Think of it like this. Data science is all about taking that structured, step-by-step approach from science and aiming it at everyday problems. And I'm not talking about some abstract theory in a lab. We're talking about things like forecasting what customers are going to buy next week, or figuring out the absolute best flight paths to save fuel and time. It's super practical, and honestly, it's incredibly powerful. All right, so that's the 30,000-foot view. Now it's time to zoom in. To really get what data science is all about, we need to break it down into its most important parts, its building blocks. And you know what? It really boils down to just 5 core ideas. That's it. Let's walk through them one by one.
Okay, first up is the one you've definitely heard of, machine learning. And this is where things get, well, pretty cool. We're talking about creating systems that don't just follow a list of instructions, but actually learn from data and experience. They literally get smarter and better at their job over time. A perfect example, your email's spam filter. Seriously, every single time you click mark as spam, you're teaching it. The system learns what junk mail looks like to you, and it starts catching similar stuff all on its own. That's machine learning, working for you every day, totally in the background. Next up, we've got algorithms. Now, I know this word sounds super technical and intimidating, but the concept behind it, it's actually really simple. An algorithm is just a set of rules. It's a step-by-step instruction manual for how to get something done. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is a recipe for baking a cake. You have your ingredients and a list of very specific steps to follow. If you follow them correctly, you get a predictable and hopefully delicious result. In data science, your ingredients are the data, and the final cake is the answer to your question. Our third concept is statistical models. This is all about being a detective and finding the hidden connections in a giant sea of data. You're using math to figure out how different things are related to each other, which lets you make some really solid, educated guesses about what might happen next. And you see this every single day. Think about a weather forecast. Meteorologists don't just, look out the window and guess. They feed tons of historical data, temperature, humidity, wind speed, into statistical models. Those models find the patterns that help predict tomorrow's weather. Now, building right on top of that, we have something called regression analysis. This is a specific kind of statistical tool that is just fantastic for making predictions. It helps you answer questions like, hey, if we spend 10% more on our ads, by exactly how much can we expect our sales to go up? It's all about predicting a specific number. And last but not least, number 5 is programming. Think of this as the toolbox. Languages like Python, R, and SQL, those are the hammers and wrenches that data scientists use to build all these models, to handle huge amounts of data, and to actually make all these other concepts work. It's the how behind the whole operation. Okay, so now we have our 5 core concepts. Let's zoom back out again, because it's one thing to have all these cool tools, but how do you actually put them to work effectively? It's not enough to just hire a few smart people. You need a real strategy for the entire organization. And this is what that strategy looks like in a healthy, successful organization. You'll notice it's a circle. It all starts with really, truly understanding the business goals. Then you set clear ways to measure success. Only then do you start building the tech and the tools. And then, and this is so important, it all loops back to making sure everyone's on the same page and that you always, always keep humans in the loop to make the final call. It shows this is about making smart decisions, not just crunching numbers. And this right here, this really gets to the core of it all. Look, you can have the most advanced technology and the fanciest tools on the planet,
But that's literally only half the battle. Real, lasting success comes from balancing that tech with the people. It's about deeply understanding the business and making absolutely sure that human experience and wisdom are guiding the process from beginning to end. Which brings us right back to that question we started with. Who is data science actually for? If it's this blend of skills and problem solving, does that mean you have to be one specific type of person to do it? Well, let's go ahead and bust that myth right now.
It might actually surprise you where some of the best data scientists come from. It's not always straight out of a computer science program. A lot of them come from fields heavy in math and logic, like physics or chemistry or engineering. And why is that? Because they've been trained their entire careers to think critically, to analyze complex systems, and to solve really hard problems. They already have that analytical mindset baked in.
And that is the key. That's the main takeaway for all of this. At the end of the day, data science is a way of thinking. It's about being curious, using logic, and having that drive to find the answers that are hiding in the data. What that really means is this field is open to anyone who develops that problem-solving approach.
Which leaves us with just one last thing to think about. Data is amazing. It can tell us what happened, and it can even predict what's likely to happen next. It gives us the what, but it can never, ever tell us why it matters or what the right thing to do about it is. That part, that takes human judgment. It takes ethics and wisdom. Data is an unbelievably powerful tool, but we are, and we always will be, the ones who decide how it gets used.